Political parties are central to electoral reforms in Nigeria as they shape the political landscape through voter mobilization, candidate selection, and policy advocacy. However, their role is often undermined by various challenges, including lack of internal democracy. These issues not only erode public trusts but also hinder the pursuit of credible and inclusive elections. Despite this, political parties remain pivotal to driving reforms with opportunities to champion technological innovations, advocate stronger institutions, and push for inclusivity in politics. How can political parties navigate these challenges to truly transform Nigeria's electoral system? What strategies can be employed to ensure reforms are inclusive, impactful? Stay with us as we explore these critical questions on today's program. I am Ezenwawagu. Welcome to Electoral Reform Half Hour on NTA News 24. This program is brought to you by Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa with support from MacArthur Foundation. Our guest tonight is Alhaji Yusuf Mamman Dantile, the National Chairman of Interparty Advisory Council, IPAC, and the founding National Chairman of Allied People's Movement, APM. A seasoned politician and entrepreneur, he has contested various elections, including the presidency, and is known for his strong advocacy for inclusive, credible, and democratic electoral processes in Nigeria. As IPAC chairman, he plays a key role in uniting political parties and pushing for reforms that strengthen Nigeria's democracy. Glad to have you tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good evening.
I am so excited that you are able to make it. I know you are a bit under the weather. So,
that's fine.
But it's
we'll do anything for Nigeria.
It's part of those sacrifices that you keep making for our country, and I'm glad that you're able to make it.
Thank you.
So let's, given that most electoral reform bills originate from either the executive or the legislature, what specific roles can political parties play, especially your leadership, for instance, in initiating or lobbying for electoral reform legislations?
Okay, thank you. Good evening once again. I want to congratulate Nigerians on enduring 25 years of democracy. It's a very wonderful one, and no form of government is comparable to a democratic system because it availed the people the free opportunity to choose who they want to lead them. But however, we have a few challenges, just like you pointed out. We have to start by looking at the political parties and the strength of the parties and the managers. Where does the party derive its strength from? Today, in the past, we have political parties say they are supreme. Why was political party, or were political parties supreme then? Because the political parties were able to put together them sincerely in the interest of the people, and then there was support from the government to fund or support, give political parties some form of grants to enable the political parties drive their own activities, ranging from advocacy, publicity, sensitization, and primaries. But today the story is different. How political parties are left on their own to scavenge for what is required to drive the parties financially. And you know how the economic involvement of managing or running a political party in Nigeria today. So be that as it may, that has given powers to a few individuals who support or provide the wherewithal for the political parties, okay, in order for the parties to move on. So, and that, so to that effect, the powers of the parties have been eroded by this individual who make these provisions. And then, there's this saying that who pays the piper dictates the tune of the music. Now, with that, most of the product, the supposed product of the political parties, from the executive to the legislature, they see themselves as above the parties that produce them. Because we are the ones giving the parties. So if we are the ones giving the parties, we tell the parties what to do, even if you are doing, you are going against the dictates of the party or the constitution of the party. So that is one of the major problems we have. But in the Inter-Party Advisory Council, we have tried to appeal to engage the powers, the legislative arm. Recently, when the issue of the review of the Constitution,
we're going to get there.
Okay.
It's somewhere we're going to get to.
Okay.
But I wanted to give you Britta to be able to give this opening background. So the one sore point for this conversation is the issue around internal party democracy. And I know you're experienced. I know you've come a long haul from contesting elections to managing political parties. But what role is there for INEC and the National Assembly in looking at, INEC particularly being the registrar, of political parties and their regulator? What role for them and INEC in enforcing internal party democracy without overstepping constitutional limits?
You see, I think this thing is a vicious circle. Some of the things, the challenges that the political parties have, I think INEC too is bedeviled with a few of those challenges, because one who appoints, where we have issues with situations where some commissioners that were nominated by, and then accusations that the members of this party A or party B and all that, and other accusations, the partisanship of some members of the commission. But then INEC, just like the political parties under the umbrella of Inter-Party Advisory Council, INEC too is doing the same thing. INEC recently, the INEC under the leadership of Professor Mahmoud Yakub have approached the National Assembly with a number of proposals, bills for review of the Electoral Act. And I'm not, you have copies about 10. Some of the things that I'm able to have oral understanding, this are in tandem with some of the positions of political parties. And I want to use this to appeal to members of the legislature. You see, today, we have some persons who are coming together under the umbrella of coalition to take power from the ruling government or the ruling party. Now, most of the people, the faces we see today, were in the same positions yesterday. So the same thing, those who are there today, if you do not do what is right,
you'll be somewhere
tomorrow. So we should be able to reduce our personal interest to embark on policies that will outlive us, and then give democracy that comfort, that speed that democracy requires. Because a lot of things are wrong with our democratic practices in Nigeria today. If bills are being sponsored by members of the National Assembly, I think it is expected that there should be wider consultations. So situations like this, maybe those who have managed political parties in the past, who have managed IPAC in the past, who have managed INEC, and then the key salient departments of INEC. Okay, so they are aware of some of the challenges, and not just members of the legislators coming together and then just throw it in, and then because when we look at some of the bills that were sponsored recently,
some of them are laughable.
Yeah, so that.
But Alhaji Datile, there is an issue when you look at the litigations after elections. Funny enough, many of them are issues around internal party democracy, and not conduct of the election itself. And sometimes they run, through up to
Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. A political parties that are struggling with transparency during their most important aspect of the election, which is the primary election. How do you think that political can advocate for transparency in the broader electoral process if you can't conduct free, fair, credible primaries? Under what moral, ethical grounds will you be demanding for transparency at the, secondary election level? Thank
you. Democracy is it's a borrowed concept from the Western world, and characteristically, or ideally, this is supposed to be government that people will freely put together without any form of coercion. Vote buying? No. Thuggery? No. The use of police or force? No. Minimal role of the judiciary? Yes. But we have all this, our own kind of democracy is the devil with all these anomalies. So the question is, why do we put in so much energy? Why do we try to circumvent both internal and external rules? So that means there's something there that is beyond going to administer on behalf of the people.
Yeah, because you have to sell for you to be a candidate. Sometimes you have to sell your properties. Sometimes you have to borrow money from the bank.
So it now makes it look more like investment, business, rather than going to serve the people. It also shows that there is maybe visible and invisible lucrativity in these offices. Why do I want, if I choose to manage the affairs of the people on their behalf for their benefit, why do I want to pay them? Why should I pay you to manage your resources on your behalf? Why should I kill you? Why should I maim you?
Why should I intimidate
Why should I intimidate you? Why should I circumvent the laws? So some of these things we need to look at. But
that's why there is IPAC. The challenge, Chairman, is what is IPAC doing? Because that's the question my viewers would like to ask.
Thank you. IPAC, as the umbrella body of all political parties in Nigeria, what we do is to advise. We can't enforce. IPAC has been administered with a code of conduct, until recently, my own time, that we have been able to put together a constitution which is more enforceable than the code of conduct. And I think in few days it should be out. We'll unveil the constitution, the first constitution of an Inter-Party Advisory Council. Even at that, all the political parties are members of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. So it will be an aberration to begin to bring one party out and begin to rubbish or say, no, but what we do is we behind, we can advise, do this. The same engagement we have in INEC. But we can come out to x-ray the entire democratic process this way.
Absolutely. We go on a short break. When we come back, Electoral Reform Half Hour continues shortly. Stay with us. Glad to have you back. We're still speaking with Alhaji Yusuf Dantile, National Chairman of IPAC. Alhaji Dantile, Chairman, this is there is a proposal for a new commission that will be responsible for registering political parties, separate, from INEC. What are your thoughts on this? Do you see this as a duplication of roles or a necessary reform to strengthen party regulations?
Thank you. We stumbled on a copy of the bill, the draft copy of the bill, recently, because there was a program, an engagement organized by the Kuka Foundation and the YAGA Africa, and we interacted with the members of the House of Reps on the same bill. So, and then when we look at the bill, most of the things we have in the bill, they are still functions of INEC.
Department of Political Parties.
Yes, EPM.
Yes.
Because what do we have in the bill? The bill is saying there should be a body to register political parties. INEC is equally saddled with the responsibility of registering political parties. Yes, what INEC doesn't do now is funding of political parties, which is there. And even in the bill, it says, it uses the word may instead of shall, that the government may. So, and this is one major thing that I think we need. Because by the time, if you don't strengthen political parties, we'll continue to have these problems that we have.
It's not easy to have you, to bring you, to because of how busy you are. So, and there's not a lot of time. So I'm going to squeeze so many things in so that I can get the best.
Yeah, but I think it talk on this.
Excellent.
You said INEC, I think section 22A of the Constitution, to empower INEC to register political parties.
Yes.
But there are procedures for the political parties.
Yes.
But in the case of this bill, it is only the registrar of the commission that the register. And then if you look at the conditions for the registration of political parties in the proposed bill, is highly disproportionate to the conditions that will qualify you to register a political party. So there's a lot of discrepancy that need to be put together. But it's a wonderful development, but I think we need to look at it to be careful so that we don't end up having, because if the commission must be set up, we still have to work on, there must be a surgery on the Constitution itself. Because funding of political parties and auditing political parties, these are all within the purview of INEC as it stands today.
Okay, so I know you made some recommendations for electoral reforms in that improving Nigerians. Can you shed light briefly on them? And then quickly also, issue of, I'm sure people have told you, differentness in ideology. People always say that Nigerian political parties do not have ideology. I'm sure you are confronted with that every day.
So let me,
and then talk also about conducting elections in one day.
Yeah,
so that if you can do that in a few minutes, that would be appreciated.
I think that was the first. That's number one on the proposal we had in the
recommendations that you made last year.
So why did we propose election in one day? It will save costs. It will get candidates, stakeholders, or the players focus on their own election. There won't be distraction, and then it will reduce suffocation of economic and educational and other activities. Because by the time now, you say, okay, election is conducted today, election will be conducted in another presidential election. When you stagger it, people will have to travel and go. Student schools will be shut down, commercial activities will be shut down, and then I will be expected to support Mr. A, who is running for maybe presidential or for senatorial. So there will be less focus by the time all these things, or there will be more focus on your own individual election by the time it's when it's done in one day. But that will entail other things, because INEC will still need to be given more time, especially because the collation is going to be cumbersome if you say elections should be conducted in one day. So there will still be need for surgery, a lot of work to be done.
So IPAC is strong on single day elections.
Yes.
All right.
And then secondly, we talked about synchronizing voters card to national identification number, because we have cases where accusations of non-indigents coming to vote, and so if we can, because in some other countries, okay, the same their voters card is not different from their national identification card. So why should we have these two? So and then it shouldn't be voters registration, since if it should be synchronized, then it should be a continuous thing. It should be continual. And then we also recommended that's a constitutional issue too, because foundation of our democracy for us is supposed to start from the wards, the local government, and but from what is happening in Nigeria, considering the activities of State Independent Electoral Commission,
I know you've been speaking about that so strongly. If you are even saying they should scrap,
yes, it should be scrapped, because what they are doing at the CIEC does not meet minimum standard of election. It's more of coronation of, let me borrow the words of the current INEC chairman, Professor Undiaku, that more of coronation than election, because one person will just handpick who he wants, and then a man
99% in almost all
is Bangladesh.
So as we wrap up, are there any urgent reforms or warnings you believe Nigeria must prioritize before the next election cycle?
For one, this thing called State Independent Electoral Commission, we strongly believe that it must be scrapped. We need democracy at the grassroots level. And now, few months ago, there was a judgment of the Supreme Court empowering the CBN, okay, the Attorney General of the Federation went to court, okay, for direct payment of allocations of local government into the accounts of, up till this moment. We are aware that these things don't go. There has not been implementation of that judgment today. So local government must be
negotiating with the governors.
Why should they, why should they negotiate? It's all about policy. It's about the people. The government doesn't belong to the governors. The country doesn't belong to them. It belongs to Nigerians. We must be very, very careful. We all see what is happening today in an average Nigeria cannot afford 3 square meals. No Nigerian basic salary can give him the basic needs of life. Education is not accessible. We have to be very sincere. All these things you are saying, banditry, kidnapping, terrorism, we did not, this thing is alien to our system, to our culture, to our society. So these are indications that a lot is wrong with the socio-economic and political arrangement. We are all running to Abuja, believing that Abuja is safe. Recently, there was activities around there. So it's getting closer. Where is Niger? Where is Buhari? Where is Benue? So we have to be very careful, because if anything happens, God forbid, in this country, there's no country anywhere in the world that can accommodate refugee problems.
I think everyone has come to know that, and that's part of why people like you, Alhaji Dattile, will always be a favorite for electoral reform, half hour on NTA News 24. And on that note, we conclude today's episode of Electoral Reform Half Hour, and we wish to specially thank Alhaji Yusuf Mamman Dattile, the chairman of INEC, for your time. I like to have a handshake with my guests. Thank you so very much for coming.
Thank you.
And that's the program. Electoral Reform Hour Half Hour is brought to you by the Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, PACA, with support from MacArthur Foundation. We are live every Saturday from 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. with a repeat broadcast on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on same station. Thank you for watching. I am Ezenwawawu.